So what we're going to do is we're here to expose it, let people tell their story, and let everybody in the public see the horrors of the court system in Suffolk County, New York.
Long Island Backstory with Chief Correspondent Gary Jacobs.
Hello again, Gary Jacobs. Welcome to another edition of Long Island Backstory, where we film at the Cablevision Studios. No, the Alt Studios, because they just got bought in Hauppauge, New York. Once again, we have Frank Vetro, my guest here, author of the book Standing on Principle, also now radio show host. And we did a show, our first show, about a month ago. And since then, I've gotten to know Frank, and I consider him a friend. You know, it's one thing to hear somebody's story, but then after you talk off the air, we only have a half hour, and I hear all the injustice. Not only do I feel sorry for him, but he's a likable guy, he's an intelligent guy, and I respect that not only is he trying to stick up for his case, which we're going to talk about, he's trying to stop other people, prevent other people from going through the hell that Suffolk County put him through, and just trying to battle the corruption. And you know what? That's my kind of guy. So, you know, we've become friends, and I'm proud to get to know you, and I'm going to be there when you get the justice that you actually do deserve. So we're not going to talk that much about your case today, but I want to talk about in general terms the corruption here on Long Island, and specifically in Suffolk County, because you saw it in your case, but now that you're doing your radio show, you just like you're seeing it's nothing would probably shock you anymore.
It's overwhelming.
So
yeah. talk
about the corruption here on Long Island. What are the problems? What's going on? How does it affect the way we live? Why should people watching the show? Because I think a lot of people watching it say, well, you know what? If you don't do anything wrong, you don't have to worry.
Just
right?
like that, yeah.
You say, I'll go on my life. I work my job, and we had your attorney on here, Phil Giacino, and as he said, one of the feelings, you know, we charged the guy with eight felonies or 8 misdemeanors. He probably did something if we charge him with 8.
Right.
You know, so maybe this is a bad guy. And I remember, and honestly, I've changed my attitude. I used to see a black guy in the news. He'd have the hoodie pulled over his head, and his attorney would come out and go, he didn't do it, he's innocent. I say, come on, this guy did it. Look at him, he's a black kid, he's got a hoodie, he's pulling it over his head. Of course he did it.
Exactly.
And if he gets off, I say, he probably had a good lawyer that made a deal. I've really changed the way I think. And when people tell me stories about, you know, cops doing bad things, I always brought up to cops don't never do anything wrong. And then we have to say, of course, most of the cops do the right thing, but there are a few that are bad. And in Suffolk County, they cover up for in fact, they promote these bad guys.
They do. They don't get promoted on, I say this a lot, the people that are at the upper echelon of the Suffolk County DA and police force, as we know, James Burke, he's in federal holding right now, they did not get there on the merits.
Right.
That's for sure. They're not intelligent. Because
there's some great cops and they don't get promoted. It seems like it's the bad ones. To me, it's because they play the political game.
Exactly.
If you play the political game and you're willing to maybe take somebody who's innocent and just keep going after them, and wasn't it Spoda? He got promoted because he found somebody guilty of putting the kid, but he put the rocks down the kid's throat, and that was like his claim to fame. Yeah. So it seems to me like they go, oh, what's his conviction rate? How about did the right thing?
Yeah, and his key witness in that case was James Burke.
Right. So these guys are the ones who...
And then he rose to the ranks, and Spoda took him under his wing and made him the head of the highest-ranking uniformed police officer in Suffolk County.
But when I talk to police officers, and I talk to a few because unfortunately with the divorce and with Americans for Legal Reform, we get a lot of police officers. They get screwed royally in court for whatever. I think it's a power thing. You know, the judge says, hey, you know, you got a gun, but guess what? I got the robe, and this robe is more dangerous. This is what I feel a lot of times happens, and these poor police officers just get screwed. There's always the allegation that they pulled their service revolver on their ex-wife, so they lose their job. So I met a lot of police officers, and most of them, these good guys don't get promoted. They tell you that they all know that it's the bad guys who are getting, the guys who are willing to do the dirty work that get promoted.
It's a personal agenda, and if they want to benefit their personal agendas. That's what that's what the corruption's all about. Right. And if you don't play along or help them cover up or whatever you're doing, then you're out. You're out. And you're lucky if you're going to keep your job, and you're not going to be ruined.
Right.
Police officers, I interviewed a police officer last week. He didn't play ball with them. Living in a garage right now.
Wow.
Living in a garage.
Yeah, I see I think it was our county executive Steve Ballone. I think he said Spoda was running a criminal organization.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
Even if he's exaggerating a little bit, to say that they're running a criminal organization here on Long Island is freaking scary.
I have to tell you, I think that at some point, because I've heard a lot of stories, when I went through my case and I wrote my book, I said, man, this is an unbelievable, amazing story, and I still think it's amazing. And then, as I vowed to make it through it, and like you said before, and I help other people now at my radio show, and I gave them the voice I never had. Right. I'm hearing stories, and I'm like, man, the nerve of me to think I'm the only one, right. Like I was special.
Exactly.
I can't believe. And let me tell you something. One of these days, don't be surprised. I'm telling you, and maybe sometime real soon. Mark my words. You heard it here first. I'd be surprised if first time ever, unprecedented, the Suffolk County DA does not get brought up on RICO charges, which is what they use to prosecute the mob. Right. I really think it's that bad.
Yeah.
I'll go on. I don't mind saying it. I think they're that bad.
Listen, I think it's a problem when it starts at the top. I mean, we could argue about the president and the governor, but we're talking, that the corruption trickles down. And I believe we have a chief judge, and I say it all the freaking time. Judge Randall Henricks, the chief judge. Same thing. He played the game, plays the political game, and he's corrupt. He covered up for Marion McNulty for the things that she did, civil rights violations. He covered up for it, and they let her step down. Now I believe that he's guilty of hand-picking judges to people. And I think they do this all the time, this hand-picking of the judges.
All the time, the cross endorsements. It's really a one-party system.
It is.
There's no choice.
No, there's no choice. The system, the system is messed up because when you have cross endorsements, the people have no choice. Hey, how is that a vote? You took it away, and then now they owe the party leaders.
Yeah.
Because they gave them a job. They bought, and everybody knows the routine. It's not a secret. Oh, you have to go to the fundraisers. You have to go to the Democratic county dinner or the Republican county dinner. You have to donate the money and do all these things and volunteer, and then you get the nomination. But I also think the problem, Frank, that I see is a lot of times the judges are loser lawyers. So because listen, honestly, your attorney is making a good living. Yeah. You have Phil Giacino. He's a great attorney. He's making a good living. He doesn't want to. What the hell does he want to be a judge and have to answer to people and be there and say? He could do his own thing and make a good living. He's going to take a pay cut. Judges do well. They just gave him a raise. But still, they're making $200. If you're a very successful attorney, you don't want to go.
Right.
Those are the people who you would want to be a judge.
Exactly.
So you get the bad lawyers who couldn't keep clients. You also, you get the people who have narcissistic personalities many times that have these power issues. How do you not have a psychological exam on a freaking judge? You go to Home Depot, Frank. You have to get urine tests. You have to get drug tests, random. You could be a freaking judge. You never get a psychological exam. You never get a drug exam. And it's the craziest thing because how in America could a judge put somebody in jail without a jury? This happens every day without a freaking jury.
Day.
Our Constitution is set up to protect you, a jury of your peers. You get one judge who may have psychological issues. There's no recourse.
Nope.
And it's scary.
Good luck getting any type of sanction on a judge or anything. Yeah, forget
it. They basically have absolute immunity, and we all know absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Exactly.
They have the absolute power.
That's right.
And people are afraid to stick. Listen, I'll give you a perfect example. You file a motion here. I think the rule is you're supposed to get an answer in 60 days, but certainly by 90. A lot of times they go over. They go 6 months, 9. And if you go to your attorney and say, hey, look, you got to send a letter to the chief judge because they overstayed their time, they'll all tell you the same thing. We all know if you put in a letter saying that, you'll get your decision a week later and you're going to be denied.
Right. That's it.
And that's the well-known, everybody knows it. The FBI
it's a lesson in futility.
Exactly. So you tell your client, don't do it. And a perfect example, Judge Blydenberg used to show up late all the time. Some days he wouldn't show up. One day he didn't show up. A whole courtroom full of people, including me, paying $400 an hour for their attorneys. And they said, we haven't heard from the judge. You have to wait till lunch. If he doesn't show up by lunch, you go home. Finally, the lunch break comes. Oh, I'm sorry, Judge Blydenberg is not showing up today. And I said to my lawyer, fuck him. I want to make him pay for your time. I want to sue the goddamn county. How do you not show up? He's got your number. He's got the other. He said, you do that, you lost your case. So we all just sit here and keep our mouths shut.
It's crazy. Back in 2008, I had Judge Lawrence Donahue presiding over my case. I was already threatened about if I don't show up to court or if I violate some bogus order of protection. We can get into that a lot later if you want. Orders of protection, ridiculous in Suffolk County. I'll be in contempt, throw me in jail, you name it, he's going to do it to me. Better show up. All right. Snowstorm. January, February, middle of winter. I'm like, man, I better get there. I better get there. I get there. I get into a car accident on the way. I'm on Patrick Mount Sinai Road, 83, picking up pieces of the car. Friend, I better get to court. Only to find out, Judge Donahue decided it was snowing. He didn't want to show up.
Right.
I'm like, I'd be son of a bitch, man. I just got to a big car accident because you threatened to throw me in jail.
They can pick up your phone. They have your phone number.
Yeah, you can't let me know.
Right.
So I risked life and limb. Pouring. There's a blizzard. He doesn't show up, but he does throw me in jail if I do show up. If I don't show up,
right.
And he doesn't show up, doesn't tell anybody.
No, it's a real. Listen, and we can talk about the orders of protection because you live them, and it's a problem that I have that they hand these things out like candy, and I can almost see that. Okay, somebody comes in ex parte, they're scared. I give the order of protection. They come back in a week, and they get their day in court. But what happens when they find out that the person lied and then they don't do anything? That's where I got the problem.
Right.
I understand the first time, but if there's no ramifications, people can do it. Nothing happens to them.
Nothing happens.
They never prosecute perjury. They don't prosecute filing a false police report. You know what the judge has got to sometimes say, wait, you filed this, there's no proof. You destroy somebody. Listen, I know what it's like. I've been served. In fact, I was covering a case last week for Dr. Rivera, and the other party we're covering came out and decided he would take the subject off him. He said, well, you got 7 orders of protection against you. I wear that as a badge of honor because I wasn't found guilty. I don't think any of them. But anybody can get an order of protection. If you know the words. I'm fearful. I'm scared. I'm frightened. Yeah. That's it. They get the order of protection.
And that's it.
And you're down that road.
And not only that, so you get listen, here's my pet peeve with orders of protection. If I get an order of protection against Gary Jacobs, why can't you have one against me?
Right.
Why can't it be reciprocal? Why not? Like, in fact, if I didn't want you to go near me, and somebody said, "Hey, you want to sign one?" Yeah, sure. I'm not going near Gary anyway. No problem.
Right. Here's what I say, Frank. I say when you go to court for an order of protection, you should be handed that order of protection, and you should be handed a loaded gun and take a class on how to use it. Because if you're really truly fearful of your life, what the hell is a piece of paper going to do? Seriously, a gun is going to stop it. So if that should be, to me, that should be the level that it has to reach. That if you're fearful of your life, truthfully, some people are fearful of their life, obviously.
Absolutely.
Then they should be handed a gun and taught how to use it. Because that piece of paper that you're handed, if somebody's going to kill the person, they don't care that they got the piece of paper in the hand. So that just shows how ridiculous most of these orders of protection are.
Michelle Koenig files an order of protection against Frank Vetro. It was a refrain from, not a stay away.
Well, did she ask for a stay away and got the refrain from, or you don't know?
I don't even know that.
Okay.
So I get the refrain from. Oh, fine. I don't want to go near her. I don't want to see this girl. In fact, the reason she did all this because I didn't want to marry her. Believe me, I didn't want anything to do.
Thank God you didn't do that.
If I wanted anything to do with her, I would have never been arrested. She wouldn't have set me up. Believe me. So anyway, sign it. She's contacting me, email, on these social media sites, everywhere. Follow me around in my neighborhood. I'm telling everybody, you think they want to stop her? I went to Las Vegas. She approaches me at the Monte Carlo Hotel in the lobby. I'm like, does somebody want to stop this girl? Next thing you know, I go back home. I get pinched for violating order of protection. No questions asked.
Right.
Like, I've been telling you guys she's following me around. And how come, if she doesn't want to be near me, why can't she sign one too? This way she stays away from me.
Stays away from you, right.
Why not? No, it doesn't happen.
Because they should be dueling, because it is a problem. I mean, what happens if you're in a restaurant and the other person has an order of protection, they show up. It's unclear, but all I know is if they call the police, you are getting arrested.
That's right.
And it's almost a no questions asked, and that's the game that people play.
Yes.
They get the order of protection on bullshit, and then they call in a violation, and then they go, oh well, now we violated, and then it just muddies all the waters, and you never get out of the damn mess. And I take these orders of protection seriously, but I also think that the damage that's done by these false orders of protection, when the people I got to tell you, you've spoken to police officers. They laugh at it. They all know that they hand them out like candy.
That's it.
They know they're not. The guy's going through a divorce. He's going to get an order of protection. They're going to be in court all the time. They know that person. I mean, you get people getting order of protection. They wait 2 or 3 days sometimes to go get the order of protection. I have a guy that I was with in court today, Michael Gilligan. His ex-wife went and got an order of protection because he put a sign in front of the house when he went for visitation and his kids weren't there to come out, that he loved his children and wanted to have dinner with them. And another one said a father shouldn't have to fight for their children. She went to court and got an order. The judge gave it to her, even if it's true, which it is.
Yeah.
That's an order of protection is because this protection
right.
to save you. To me, if that woman was following you, you should go to court and say, wait a minute, this woman who's scared of me is contacting me?
I had them all.
That's it. Drop the order of protection.
I brought it all. I had it all. I had the emails. I had all the communications.
And what happened in court?
Nothing. Well, in my case, I'm telling you, they were waiting for me. They wanted to get me again. Because they knew they screwed up the first arrest.
Right.
What better way to bury me more was to have the estranged principal going batty and stalking, going after his ex.
Right.
So
did you ever get your day in court on the order of protection?
That was dropped. That was dropped.
She did drop the order.
But damage done because the second arrest is what took my my job away from me.
Right.
They were bearing with me at Hampton Bases because I was a high school principal. They were bearing with it. Then after I was locked up again, they were like, "God, it's too much."
And I got to tell you, as somebody again who's had orders of protections against you, the feeling is fucking horrible. It is people don't, they go, "Oh, what's the difference?" You're afraid of everything that you do, that you're going to be set up. You're starting to look everywhere you go. Is the person here and you're going to set me up? When you go into a restaurant, when you go into a club, when you go to work, is the person going to set me up? Are they driving by my house? Every time you see a policeman or is a private investigator trying to set me up, because you could just drive by. You have a stay away order of protection. They can say, "I saw Frank drive by my house." Boom, you're arrested.
That's right.
It's a scary, scary thing hanging over your head.
Not only that, now multiply that by 7. I had 7 orders of protection against me. Okay,
Right.
3 of the people, I didn't know what they looked like. They lived in my neighborhood.
So you didn't even know if you could stay
They
away from
lived in my neighborhood. I could have
Scary.
been at the handy pantry and online behind them. I didn't even know who they were.
Right.
I didn't even
So
know
that's
the people.
really scary.
It was designed. They were
set you
designed
up.
so that I would fail.
Right.
And I got pinched.
Right.
Actually, I got pinched for the person I knew who tracked me down, but they wanted me to mess up.
What I call this, and it's similar to what I call as a directive verdict, where the judge knows what they want the outcome to be, so they'll set it up.
That's
so,
right.
for example, in a divorce case, they'll make somebody pay an amount of money that there's no way they could pay.
Right.
And then they'll 3 months, 6 months, now they're in arrears, they go to court, now they're a deadbeat because they can't pay the amount, and then they end up in jail. And the judge is directing this or doing an order of protection where you know it's going to be violated. It's just a matter of time, or they know the person's going to call in a violation, whether it's true or not.
That's right.
And really, they don't go by the burden. I've seen they don't go by this burden of proof. But I tell them, they go to court all the time, and I say, look, the burden is on the person who filed it to prove, not just to testify, to prove that this thing's happened. But when you get into these courts here in Suffolk County,
forget it.
They throw out. You end up. You shouldn't have to say a word. You should be able to go in and say, okay, go put your case on and prove it. But
Right.
they don't.
No.
You have to defend. How do you prove a negative?
Right.
How do you disprove a negative?
Exactly.
It's impossible. You're standing, and then you're stumbling, and you look to be crazy.
That's right. And you know what? That's when it comes to corruption, by the way, since you brought that, that's one of the plans of Suffolk County. Once they do something on a corrupt scale where they're just benefiting their own agenda, and they just literally pick an innocent person out, which they do. It happens all the time, more than all the time.
Listen,
More than you
we've got a
think.
police officer right now that
Yeah.
it's happening to in Suffolk County.
Yeah. So, and what they do is they confound the issues. That they're like ninjas. They throw smoke bombs and they distract the issues, and then they delay and they use every trick in the book, and it goes on
Right.
for years and years and years. And then when there's finally somebody who might want to help you out, they say, "Listen, everybody's busy in life. Can you just give it to me in 2 minutes?" No.
Right.
And it'll take me an hour at least just to get to the bare minimum of it all. They make it so confusing that nobody has a time to learn your story.
And part of the problem is that when it drags on so long, now there's so much. The waters are muddy, which I think is
Yeah.
part of the plan. Is that the waters
Yes.
are all muddied. How do you even get to the bottom of
Yes.
it? And now there's you got an order of protection, she got an order of protection, this one's got one again, and it's so confusing. But that's their fault because they let the case go on so long. And what I think that they hope is you're going to run out of money.
Right.
You're going to say, I'm done. I
Right.
can't do it. Because listen, we all have our breaking point, Frank. I mean, I was in court for 11 years. I couldn't take it anymore. Some people kill themselves. Dr.
Yes.
Vera, he's been so depressed. He can't take it anymore. Everybody has their point.
That's right.
You run out of money. You run out of the mental capacity. And then you go away. They know that.
That's
Just
what they want.
like a criminal lawyer will always tell you, if you really committed the crime, the best thing for us to do is stall. And drag it out and
That's
drag it
right.
out, because eventually somebody will die, somebody will get sick, people will forget, and the case gets muddied because nobody can remember anymore.
Right.
So that's sort of the plan of what they do, is to drag these. And listen, or you'll do something stupid. You'll crack. I mean, and you'll all of a sudden one day you'll go out and say, "Man, that woman's a fucking bitch." See, I told you he was
That's
crazy.
it, yeah.
Look, he said it right there.
Yep.
And they created you to be this crazy. Who wouldn't act crazy when this happened to
They
you?
make you sound so crazy, not credible. Like, even if you're telling the truth,
Right.
I remember with me, can't be true, Frank. No way. They make it so you are a Looney Tune.
Yeah, right.
You can't be. You're not believable. Nobody wants to listen to you.
Right, and that's what happens.
In fact, Frank, go to therapy. That's
Right.
what I'm told.
Right.
Go to therapy.
Anger
10 years
you didn't
ago.
have anger management? That's a nice one.
Yeah,
They tell people
yeah.
to go to anger management,
Yeah.
and then the other person goes in and goes, "Look, he even had anger management
It's
classes."
so funny because my own attorney.
Who wouldn't be angry?
My own attorney tells me ramp up on your anger, like sarcastic, your anger management classes or whatever.
'Cause it's coming.
Like what? You gotta be kidding me.
Right.
That they make you.
And who wouldn't be angry if you're being
Right.
falsely? How about you wait till you see what happens, and then, of course, I'm angry.
Yeah.
It's not normal for you not to be
Yeah,
angry when
why
you're being
wouldn't I be
persecuted.
angry?
Right, but that's what they do, and they go, "See, he's an angry person. He probably did commit
Yeah.
this," or they charge you with so much
Right.
crap. and that they like Phil Giacino said, you get so many things that people say, he probably did something.
Right.
He got charged with all these things. You got 3 people going after. And I would say before that, most people would say, come on, the district attorney, Tom Spoda, what does he give a shit about Frank Vetro for?
Right.
He would never maliciously prosecute somebody.
Right. Happens all the time.
And
happens all the time. That's what I thought. And when I was a principal, I used to work with these guys. Like I was, gang prevention in schools and all that. Like I'd go to these, seminars and the police department, all the big head honchos. I worked with them as the principal, and I didn't think they would do this.
Right,
Well, guess what?
Yeah.
They do, because they get tainted by there's a woman, and the woman starts screwing around, and they get involved, and now they got to protect themselves sometimes. And
right.
If it's me or them, they're going to take them every time.
Of course,
and they got me instead. Innocent Frank, minding my own business.
Right.
And it happens all the time. And then what they do is they take what's important to you or what's needed by you. If it's kids and family court, then they take their kids away from you. They just drain you.
Well, they took away your life. They took away your career.
They take your career, everything you work. They take everything away from you because they want you. And then what they did, I actually had a job in another state. I was willing to leave the state and go get a job. They stopped me from doing that. Nope. Not while this is ongoing. I'm like, I'm broke. They stopped me. It's like they want you to commit another crime.
But don't you have a constitutional right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness?
Oh, yeah. My 14th Amendment was totally shit on. Let me tell you that.
I see that happen. The people forget that we have the right. Yeah. I say in family court all the time, people say, the judge said, you know what? Don't get a job starting your own business. People say, you know what? At this point, I lost everything. I want to start my own business, maybe start a radio station. And they'll go to court and they'll say, look, I'm making less money, but I'm hoping to make it big. This is America. And the judge will say, you need to go get a job at McDonald's flipping burgers.
Yeah.
No, Your Honor, I want the right to be. I'm not going to be happy doing that. I want to do a radio show. I want to help other people. I want to start a new business, and they don't let you do it.
They don't let you.
When you're in court, they take away your right to happiness.
That's right.
Which, you know what? What else do you have?
Right. And when you have nothing, when you're unemployed because of the system and what they did to you, and they take away your ability to earn $1, well, what do you think the outcome is going to be? Somebody you have to eat. You need. It's like they want this recidivism. They cause it. They cause it sometimes.
It reminds me, there's a case in Nassau recently where a guy held up, I think, a gas station. And when they asked him why he did it, he said, because I owed child support and I was facing jail, and I did it. Now, there was some history that the guy had drug bill. Who knows what, the whole, but the bottom line is, it really sums up the case. And I was on Facebook, and a bunch of people said, yeah, well, he should have just gone to court and asked the judge to make him pay less money. Well, of course he did.
Yeah.
And the
judge,
really? I think the judges got blood on their hands for this. For setting it up, and they take away your livelihood.
Yeah.
That you went to college. I mean, you're highly educated. You were very accomplished, and they took. How would you react?
After they were the ones who stigmatized me. Robert Clifford, the DA spokesperson, whoever he is, he's like the man in the curtain. Nobody ever sees his face. He's like the guy from the Wizard of Oz. He goes in the paper and confirms what's absolutely not true. In fact, the person he was referring to admitted under oath it wasn't true. Like that, I was doing bad. I'm a principal. Oh, and I was harassing my students. Like, how am I supposed to get a job now, Gary?
But you know what the bottom line is, Frank? Most of these people that you're talking about, they're still making their money.
They're still working.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, still working.
I mean, the FBI is investigating. Nothing happened. It's quiet now. I think they came to a ceasefire and said, hey, let's all stop talking about each other and let's just all go on with our jobs and keep. All this corruption was coming out. Now it's like they don't talk. How are these people? Let me tell you. You find out that these people are corrupt. How do they spend one more day prosecuting people?
Not even suspended.
Listen to the freaking recordings that they had about judges and taking people out on their boats. They're all still here.
Yeah, Prudenti, absolutely.
Right. It's insane.
They wiretap the feds. Suffolk, you don't wiretap the feds. They wiretap you.
Right.
They wiretap the bulls, the egregious behavior. They're so contumacious, like they're above the law. It's crazy.
They are.
Yeah, but they are.
Sadly,
but they
reality is they are. None of them went down. Who went down?
Nothing. I think it's going to happen, though. I do think it's
I hope
happen.
so. Listen, I'm waiting for the day that Judge Hinrichs goes down because I want to be there smiling at this. And I do. Let me I do my part, Frank. I do everything I can to get Judge Hinrichs to go down. Whether it's FBI, whether it's anything in the federal government, I say it all the time. I hope this guy doesn't sleep at night because I want to see him coming out in handcuffs.
You sound like me because I feel the same way about Tommy, my friend Tommy Spoda. I almost taunt him on air. I'm surprised he doesn't have an order of protection. He
doesn't want his day in court with you. That's why.
I want to be there when he's out in cuffs.
Right.
I want that. I think he's evil,
Right.
and I don't mind saying it. I'd say it to his face if I ever saw him. He's a bad guy.
Right.
Don't believe that little sweet, little cute little old man. Oh, no.
Hey, listen, he destroyed lives. But anyway, I really appreciate what you do, Frank. And I'm like I said, I'm proud that we've got to know each other and call you a friend, because I tell these judges who are watching this show, be careful who you piss off. You could take 50 people and you can fuck them and destroy their lives, but you may get the one Frank Vetro or the one Gary Jacobs.
That's right.
And I don't care if it's to the day I die, I'm going to make sure that Judge McNulty gets what she deserves. Kathy Small, the law guardian, she's going to get what she deserves. Judge Hinrichs, he's going to get it too. Judge Blydenberg's dead, but he did lose his job before that. Your people you're going after Spoda, they're going to get it too.
Thomas
the woman
Spoda.
who destroyed your life,
Michelle Koenig, Officer Wayne Heater,
they're going to get it.
who used my arrest, my high-profile arrest, to become detective, make it to the detective. Sergeant Michael Cosgrove, remember you stutter in front of me in the interrogation room? Thought it was going to go away? 10 years later, here I am.
And you're not going away.
Yeah,
I'm not going away.
Count the cracks on that ceiling at 2 in the morning, because here I am.
Yep, exactly. Well, Frank, thanks for
My
coming out.
pleasure,
Thanks
Gary.
for speaking out, and keep
Pleasure.
up the good work. Gary Jacobs at Long Island Backstory. Please like our page on Facebook. I know it sounds stupid, and I ask every week, but you know what? That helps, because the more people, the viewership we have, the better. Go to WLINY, listen to Frank Vetro's show, Standing on Principle. You can get it online. It's archived, but people do share these shows, because you never know who's going to see it. This Michelle Koenig that she's talking about, she lives here on Long Island. She's got people who she knows. Let them go and say, Michelle, what the hell did you do? Let the feds watch the show and go back to Spoda and say, hey, this guy's onto something.
Maybe your kid's in her class this year, this school year. She's working.
All right. Thanks again, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Good night.
I think every single person who receives a red light camera ticket should fight their ticket. Why? Because it's nothing but a cash grab and a cash cow.
We've all been told that it's all about safety and there's no quotas. You prove that it's got nothing to do with safety and it is quotas.
Red light cameras are nothing more than a tax, plain and simple. Don't anybody ever tell you any different.
The red light cameras are a fraud.
Long Island Backstory. Chief Correspondent Gary Jacobs is uncovering the truth on Long Island. The family court system. Red light cameras. Corruption in local politics. The heroin epidemic. Corrupt judges. At Long Island Backstory, we uncover the truth that the Cablevision news monopoly won't dare touch. We uncover the details you won't see on News 12 or in Newsday. We are local independent media at its best. Long Island Backstory, available on Public Access TV and on YouTube.
They'll test you. Try to break your will. But however loud the loudness gets, however many cheese puffs may fly, you're the driver, the one in control. Stand firm. Just wait. And move only when you hear the click that says they're buckled in for the drive. Never give up till they buckle up.